My wife, Andrea, stole our daughter's college money to fund her shopping addiction and wants me to take the blame. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place and don't know what to do. The problem is, I can't discuss this with anyone close to me for privacy, reasons I've been with my wife, Andrea, of 48 years, and my daughter, Cassie, who is 17 for 8 years. I love them both madly, but Cassie is a very bright young woman recognizing her potential. Andrea and I decided to create a college fund for Cassie so she wouldn't be in debt. Over the years, it has accumulated more than 17,000. Casey is aware of this and is counting on it with the intention of getting into an Ivy League university. To summarize last week, I discovered that almost 17,000 of the money was missing. From the account, I panicked and asked Andrea if she knew anything about it. She burst into tears and confessed that she had been spending the money over the years to fund her shopping habit. I was furious, but after a moment of clarity, I considered the possibility of an infidelity. She vehemently denied it and offered proof, including social media accounts, emails, her work phone, and receipts, finding nothing suspicious. I let it go, but we still had the huge problem of the missing money. She described herself as a shopaholic, and the money in Cass's account was simply too tempting not to use. She didn't make excuses, but she also didn't offer solutions. As I mentioned before, I was beyond furious. It ruined Cass's chances of going to college debt-free and changed the entire trajectory of her life. I asked Andrea to stay with her sister while I tried to sort this out. Cassie was worried she was leaving, but we simply said we needed some space. I asked Andrea to come home yesterday and we had a very long discussion about how to handle this. She stopped me and asked me a favor to take the blame for her. To give some context, Andrea and Kai don't get along for several reasons, and Andrea fears this will permanently separate them. She doesn't want to lose her. I told her that before we even talked about it, she needed to acknowledge her mistake and accept it. She needed to go to individual therapy. We needed couples therapy. She needed to find a support group for compulsive shoppers, and I would control the finances from now on. She said those conditions were difficult but fair. I added that I needed to tell. Almost what she did. Apologize and wait for it. She refused, saying she could never lose. Almost. I told her that to even consider taking the blame. She had to accept my conditions. I don't know what to do. The last thing I want to do is lie to Kai, but I also don't want Andrea and Kai to separate forever. The worst part is that Keith's life is ruined either way, and I don't know how to replace the money other than maybe borrowing from my 401k. Do you have any suggestions? Divorce is always an option, but I love Andre despite her mistakes, and dating at 52 is almost impossible. Goodbye. Update 1. I want to thank everyone here for really opening my eyes yesterday. You're right. I need to put almost first, and as I said, I'll tell the absolute truth. Even if she gets angry with me and rejects me, at least I'll know I did the right thing. Besides, I'm going to pay for her college myself. I can get money from places like my retirement and inheritance, so it'll be okay if I have to live a little frugally during retirement and work a few extra years. It's almost worth it. Honestly, I doubt her mother is going to sell her things, so that's why I'm taking this path. Regarding Andrea, I've been criticized for wanting to let her go, so to speak, but it's easy to say that when there aren't deep feelings involved. That said, I don't think I can keep her. What she did is horrendous and ruined our daughter's future. Because of her addiction, we had a long argument last night, and she threatened divorce unless I told her the truth. She practically begged me not to, but I stood firm and she eventually agreed. But only if I agreed not to divorce her and to help repair her relationship. She probably won't do either. She chose her path, so let her deal with it. If I need to update, I'll probably make a new post. Thanks to everyone for the relevant comments and my answers. How could you not notice I didn't really have much to do with the account, except contribute money? I simply took her word for it. She showed me statements from time to time, so I had no reason to suspect anything. Besides, we have separate finances, except for a joint account for household expenses and bills. Although she's almost officially my daughter, I'm just her stepfather. So Andrea takes care of everything of all matters related to her finances, unless she almost asked me directly for something. Besides, I wasn't the only contributor. Her grandparents on both sides contributed, as did my own parents. I only found out what was happening when my wife left a bank statement out in the open. Now, I think she just pocketed the money she received and manipulated the account. She knew the amount that should be there because much of the money came in early. Her grandparents initially contributed $75,000. Mine contributed another 0,000, and the amount I added over the years. Don't use your savings to pay her back. Almost use your wife's. I asked her to take money out of her account to pay her back. She said protecting her retirement is important to her, and that she could take out a loan since her credit is excellent. Surprisingly, she doesn't accumulate debt on her credit cards. Now, I understand how she does it. I also have doubts about doing this. I understand that everyone wants me not to pay for this, and I want that too. However, if I'm going to stay with Andrea, I don't want her to have to keep working until I die. I would like to enjoy our retirement together. My retirement is very healthy. I also have some investments and an inheritance that could withstand the blow. The most important thing is that I can almost go to the school I want and not have to worry about it. The comments are right. I'm not letting Andrea go free. She's going to pay for this goodbye. Update 2. It'll tell you why Andrea and I don't get along. Andrea is a widow and suffered a lot from her father's death since she was very young. According to Andrea, many of her problems started from grief and anger. Then she grew up and became a bit of a girl with more masculine tastes. Andrea is more feminine and doesn't identify with dressing in a more masculine way. They don't agree on many things. She wants to be a physicist. Andrea wants her to do something with more income potential. Besides, there are the typical tensions between a mother and a teenage daughter. They have strong arguments in which I have to intervene. Original, but I'll repeat it here, so everyone can see it. More than half the money in the account came from Keith's grandparents, Andrea's parents, Keith's biological father's grandparents, my parents, whom she also calls grandparents. This money arrived early, so I knew how much should be there. I never managed the account. Although I claim her almost as my daughter, she's only officially my stepdaughter. As such, her mother handles all financial matters related to her. I simply gave her money to put in the account, and she would show me probably manipulated statements. My belief is that she pocketed the cash every time I gave her money. Yes, I noticed all the things she bought. She claimed they were on sale, or because she received a bonus at work. She earns very well. And I thought she was responsible with money. So I said okay. I asked her why she needed so many Christian Louboutin shoes. She ignored it. And although people can't understand, it's very easy to spend $17,000. A large part of the money went towards buying a Mercedes, which I thought was a lease. I had a 7-year-old Lexus that, according to her, her friends laughed at her for keeping up appearances. For her wealthy friends, it's very important to her. Almost Andrea doesn't get along for several reasons, supposedly almost. Looks a lot like her late father, and Andrea can't relate to her at all. Or maybe she doesn't try hard enough. Almost likes talking to me much more. We have father-son boundaries, but almost considers me one of her best friends. Her words make me realize that taking the blame was her way of manipulating me. Besides, it would have exposed me to a lot of consequences that I don't need to deal with. Also, honesty is always the best policy. I wasn't thinking straight in my last post, and I was afraid of being alone and single. I guess I have some issues with being alone that I need to address. Also, I really love Andrea. We connected in a very deep way, but am still divorcing her. Interestingly, a comment from Mrs. Holmes made me laugh and made me realize that I could date again at this age. Also, you all gave me some very nice compliments, so thank you for those. After my last update on the original post, I talked to Andrea until late at night. She hesitated to admit to almost what she did. She said that she or both of us could get loans and take care of the money. Then I told her that I had a problem and needed to fix it. When I threatened her with divorce, she agreed to tell me as long as I didn't divorce her. Guess she's afraid of losing everything. That afternoon, we sat down with Almost and told her the facts. At first, she thought that we were joking around, but when she realized it wasn't, she got extremely upset. I'll spare you the details, but she and Andrea had an extremely loud and violent argument. She almost called her some really horrible names, and Andrea, although she didn't insult her back, tried to defend herself, but she started getting angry about the names they were calling her. They made so much noise that the neighbors called the police. I had to explain the situation to them awkwardly, hoping they wouldn't think I was some kind of abuser. She almost told Andrea that she never wanted to speak to her again and that she didn't want a penny of her money, and she stormed off. At this point, I asked Andrea to stay indefinitely with her sister, while she gave Cassie and me some space. She didn't want to leave, she fought to stay, but I told her that Cassie and I needed time apart from her. So she packed her things and went to her sister's house. As for Kai, she went to her room and locked the door. She let me in after I told her that her mother had left. She cried in my arms and expressed that her future was ruined, I told her. Not to she was saying I would cover her college tuition with my retirement savings and that she would fix it. She doesn't know exactly what a 401k is yet, but she told me she didn't want me to work until I'm 90. Like the people at Walmart, just for her. I simply told her she's worth it and that you do stupid things for the people you love. She said she would start looking for scholarships and maybe other colleges where she could get a full scholarship since she has excellent grades and extracurricular activities. Then I admitted that Andrea wanted me to take the blame for her and that I had considered it. But I came to my senses. She got annoyed with me and told me that would have been the stupidest thing I could have done. She said that she wouldn't have believed me anyway, and it would have only made her angrier with her mother. She told me she doesn't blame me and isn't mad at me for the money that was gone, but she's upset that I wanted to cover for her mother. I apologized for that. We talked and hugged for a while longer before calling it a night. The next morning, I got a call from Andrea's parents asking if the story was true. I had almost told them the story, and they were calling to confirm I had the voice recordings and the bank statement to prove it. They were furious, but begged me not to leave Andrea over this and to try to help her with her addiction. I told them I wasn't sure about it yet and hung up. Later, my parents called and asked me about it. I confirmed they were probably angrier than I thought. Considering everything they're threatening to press charges, I told them to calm down and that I would take care of it. Almost is okay. She's still a little dazed, but she seems to be handling it as best she can. I made her pancakes this morning, and that seemed to cheer her up a bit. I asked her if she wanted to go to therapy. She said she would think about it. I'll go to therapy for myself too. Andrea has been calling to talk, but I just let it ring. So she leaves voicemails. She's offering anything to make it up to me. Money, sexual favors, you name it, but it's not going to work. I feel awful for her, especially so close to Christmas. I think I'll get her tickets to Billie Elise, since she's her favorite won't make up for it at all. But it might help her feel better, so that's it for now, I guess. I'll update if anything else happens, but I think this is pretty much it. Thanks everyone, you've been a great help. Goodbye. Update, edit. I forgot to add. I'm watching my credit like a hawk. So there wasn't anything suspicious there, but I'll block it. Next week, I'm going to my accountant to have Andrea removed from everything. Significant life insurance, will bank accounts, etc. And he'll add that I've already started changing passwords and such so Andrea doesn't have access, him leading her on the idea of no divorce until my accounts are secure. Also, from what I can see, almost, credit is fine, but I'll do a deep scan and block it too. Goodbye. Update 2. I can't believe I have to say this, but there are some people saying it's creepy that I'm hugging my daughter. If sitting together with her crying on my shoulder and talking is considered creepy, then yes, I am creepy, and no, I don't think I'm a hero. I'm just trying to do the right thing. Relevant comments and my answers. How is the split in the, we have a prenuptial agreement since she also has money, so there are no fears about that. We have separate finances, and the only significant asset we have is the house I'm willing to buy. Her have to be the sole owner. Don't liquidate your retirement. Make Andrea sell her things. Sorry, I forgot to mention in the post that she doesn't want to sell her things and is only offering to get a loan. She shouldn't have the option not to sell. You're letting this woman ruin your future. Why is this worth it? The answer is almost, she's smart. She knew beyond her years in some ways, but she's still a teenager. She's very proud and refused her mother's money. I asked her if she wanted the car. She said no. I asked her if she'd be okay with her mother paying her back. She said no. As I said in the post, she doesn't want anything to do with her mother, and that includes her money. She's probably just speaking out of anger, and I hope sanity prevails. But I think there's a part of her that's accepting the challenge of working this out on her own, or at least without her mother's money. As for me, if Andrea wants all those things so badly that she chooses them over us, then so be it. Well, be fine without her. Somehow she's paying for all those things in the most precious way with her marriage, most importantly, her daughter. You're letting her walk all over you. I might be wrong here, but I don't see it as her walking all over me. She's lost her marriage, her daughter. Her family is furious with her, and her friends will probably abandon her when they find out what she's done and realize she's not as rich as she seems to be. To me, that seems real. I'm a big fan of death, and this seems like one of those endings where the person gets what they want, but doesn't realize what they had to sacrifice to get it. They can keep their possessions, It just cost them everything to get them. They're a victim of their own greed, wallowing in the mud of their own avarice. Besides, she'll probably end up being sued by my parents anyway. And if she almost decides she wants her money, he'll fully support her in getting it. My retirement will be fine. Let's just say my portfolio is very diversified and healthy. Plus, I have an inheritance and I'm not bragging. I'm just stating facts. Besides, there's a chance I almost got a scholarship or assistance goodbye update. 2. Hello everyone, it's been a long time since I've been here. A lot has happened, and to be honest, I haven't had time to update here, but I finally have a quiet moment to give you an update. First of all, I want to thank you here for helping me at such a crucial time in my life. After rereading my original posts, I can't believe how indecisive and weak I seemed in them, the prospect of my marriage ending and dying alone. It really shook me to my core, and that's what made me seem that way. I started therapy, and it made me realize that being single wasn't the worst thing that could happen to me. In fact, I've turned my loneliness into strength and used the time to work on myself. And if that last sentence didn't make it clear, let me be the first to tell you that. I'm now single. Andrea and I are legally separated and currently in divorce mediation. Unfortunately, Andrea is still in total denial and is doing everything she can to get me back, even delaying the divorce as long as possible so we can work on our marriage. She claims she started seeing a therapist who has helped her see the problem she has and put her on the road to recovery. I don't know if I believe it, but I told her it's a good thing if it's true. She's also apologized to my parents, her parents, and her late husband's parents for what she's done and offered to pay them back. Everyone has forgiven her but is keeping their distance. She's been desperate to reconnect with them, but almost she's kept her word and decided not to speak to her mother again, at least until I'm ready. Andrea's wealthy friends, whom she was so desperate to impress, have been hanging around our house offering their help. They can be nosy, but they were very kind to me, and almost immediately after Andrea's betrayal, they offered everything from a shoulder to cry-on to baked goods and spa appointments. I really only accepted the baked goods because I'll never turn down homemade lemon bars and oatmeal raisin cookies. I almost did accept the spa appointments. So there's that one woman in particular, Susan, who has been around more often than the others. While I feel like the other friends were snooping around for information, she seemed more genuine and was simply there to help me and almost heal. She cooked meals for us, helped around the house, and spent a lot of quality time with me. We didn't ask, want, or need her to do anything for us, but she did it out of kindness, and I really appreciate it. We've grown so close in such a short time, and I truly consider her a friend. It's amazing that I can get along with someone who is so much younger than me. Years younger? I generally find it hard to connect with younger people, even if they're adults. Now we come to the most important part of this update. Almost as a Christmas present to cheer her up, I took her and one of her friends to Montreal last month to see her favorite artist, Billie Eilish, at a festival. She loved it. And Montreal is such a beautiful city to visit. In general, she handled the loss of her university fund quite well. She's a very hard worker and tried very hard to find a scholarship. Unfortunately, she missed the deadline for most of the scholarships she could have qualified for. But her school of choice is offering her a very generous financial aid package. She also qualified for some local scholarships, so she has her entire first year covered. And yes, thankfully, she was almost accepted into her school of choice. In fact, she had many acceptance letters and offers of full scholarships, but she had her heart set on her school of choice. In fact, I left her last week. I'm extremely proud of her, and I know she'll do well. Now I have an empty nest. I'm completely alone in this big house, and the silence is deafening. But Susan has been around too. She keeps me company, and I've started cycling as a hobby. So overall, things are good. Not great, but certainly better than before. And with that, I think I can consider this saga closed. I hope the divorce will be finalized in the next few months so I can finally move on with my life. But the most important thing is that she's almost fulfilling her dreams and potential, and I couldn't be happier about that.